Sorry in advance if the video of this speed paint isn't the best quality. I like drawing in Procreate, and the file for this drawing was so big that even the limitless time-lapse option isn't high enough quality. But enjoy the video, I guess.
I hope to see at least some of you in the YouTube sphere by the end of summer. Please? Please, I need more speed paints to watch.
Well, don't twist my arm. Hello everyone, I'm Izzy Jofo and I'm a simp. I actually made my Artfight assets in advance this year. Not like you know, seeing that this video is 2 weeks late. But anyway, this is my 3rd year doing Artfight, and I had some time a couple weeks ago, so I thought might as well draw the character lineup so I have references that, actually make sense this year. I have one story that I don't have a proper title for quite yet, that I like to focus on in my silly little brain. And what a better time to introduce them properly to the internet than when I'm drawing them all. The loose plotline for this story is that there's a curse that's spreading around a town near the mountains. This curse takes away a person's whole sense of being. Their skin and hair turn white, and even their eyes change color, with a black sclera and white irises. On top of this, they also lose their memories. People theorize that this curse affects people quicker the worse of a person they are, but that's highly debated. While some people try and find a cure for the curse, others try and follow a legend that has been passed around about a person up in the mountains who can cure the curse. The main story focuses on 2 main groups, the Protag group, who failed to reach this person in the mountains and now reside in a quaint little home in the valley, and the antag group, who succeeded in stopping the progression of their curses, but everything comes with a price. I'm starting off with Casey, the main character for the Protag group. Casey used to actually be a self-insert of mine that I used primarily on a website called Drawception way back in 2018. Casey is the only person who is fully cursed. He has no memories of his own, and he displays all of the physical characteristics of a cursed human. For some reason, the curse affected him faster than the average person, even though he was considered a generally good guy, if not a little socially awkward. Because of this, and his awful sense of direction, Casey didn't make it to the person in the mountains in time to cure his curse. During the story, he lives in a valley with 2 other members of the Protag group. He's just a silly little guy who might or might not hyperfixate on playing literally any instrument he comes in contact with. He can be non-confrontational, which can be annoying to his more assertive friends, but he finds his way eventually. Next up is Caden, the main character for the antag group. If you remember 2 of my characters, Caden and Casey are the most important ones. Caden is the most cursed person out of the antag group, up to the point that one of his eyes has changed to the characteristics of a fully cursed human. He is the king of a tough guy facade, but deep down he just wants to be loved and accepted. In college, he put all of his energy into his physical health, so he's muscular as all get out, but he neglected to keep up with his emotional health. Whoops. I mean, if he keeps putting it off, he won't have to deal with it now, which is great, because when you're cursed, there's a lot more pressing matters to worry about. Totally won't come back to bite him. Now I'll focus on the rest of the Protag group, starting with Mark. Mark used to be a scientist studying the curse and working to formulate a cure, though his studies were unethical, as he would test experimental treatments on himself. He never believed that an animal study or hypothetical simulation could compare to the real thing, after all. One day, after testing a prototype of a cure, he realized he accidentally infected himself with the curse. He knew the science to cure the curse wasn't advanced enough yet, so he took it as an opportunity to check out if this person in the mountains was real or just a load of bull. He will often reread the binder full of notes he took documenting his memories before he was cursed, the effects he felt in the midst of the curse affecting him, his experience with the fabled person in the mountains, and the late-stage effects of the curse. Since he infected himself to test out a cure, the curse affected him at a much slower rate than the average person. If only he could tell the people back at the town. He kept working on his own cure, but progress is slow since he doesn't have the tools that he had back in his lab. Riley is the last person in the Protag group, and he lives with Casey and Mark in the valley. Riley was an average person infected by the curse, and he promptly left to the mountains to seek out the cure. Somehow, though, he found Mark first, and Mark wouldn't miss an opportunity to test out his new and improved cure. Although it didn't work entirely, and the curse went on to fully affect Riley, he did retain some physical characteristics that Mark hadn't, and he can sometimes catch glimpses of old memories. As a person, Riley will do anything for his family, whether it's his biological family, who he tries super hard to remember, or his found family in Mark and Casey. He does get anxious about standing up for himself from time to time, but he will stop at nothing to fight for the ones he loves most. Also, he likes wearing a beanie because he thinks the way that his hair lays when he pushes it forward is cute as hell. Quick tangent to show off Kat. She hangs out around the house in the valley, and Casey convinced Mark to let him take her inside, and she hasn't left. There aren't really any character moments. She's just a cat. But her personality is based off my family's cat, Kitty, and her looks are based off of my cat, Jacob, so... Now onto the rest of the antag group, starting off with Cosmo. He's here, he's queer, and he has K-pop boy hair. What more could you ask for? In all seriousness though, Cosmo is one of Caden's best friends. They're such good guy pals, and there's definitely nothing more than that going on. He might have some repressed trauma, but hey, who doesn't? He also doesn't believe the crap being fed to the people in the town about bad people being cursed faster. Hell, he was called a bad person all his life, and if anything, the curse affected him slower than average, but what would he know? Also, not sure if you can tell, but Cosmo's my silly little guy that I like to draw going through things. Either that or kissing Kate. Anyway, on to the next member of the antag group. This is Jacob, and he's Cosmo's roommate in the camp where the people who stop the progression of their curse stay at. The main important thing to know about him is he is fed up by the start of the story. He's been at the camp for a while, and he calls bull. He's always felt trapped. Maybe the curse was supposed to be his ticket to freedom after all. Why does he stick around then? Reasons. Also, yes, I know his name is a tragedy. His adopted parents thought it would be cool and unique, okay? It's not his fault. Just wait until you see his sister's name. Speaking of Jacob's sister, here's Keisha. So, a fun fact with her name. It used to be spelled K-A-T-I-A, which, if you don't know, is Katia, not Keisha. Unfortunately, little high school Izzy didn't realize that, and now I'm unfortunately attached to this weird-ass pronunciation of a name, so I changed the spelling. Getting back to her story, Keisha and Jacob are not blood related, but they are, as their parents often said when they were growing up, family by choice. As you can see by the white in her hair, Keisha has been greatly affected by the curse. For her, the curse started showing on her feet and legs, so she keeps them covered up as an attempt to keep some power amongst the rest of the people in the camp. You know, as a sense of, I'm not as cursed, so I'm stronger situation. Though it's hard to cover up the white in her hair, so she just kind of flaunts it. It's not like people would argue with her. Now we get to the characters that don't really fit into the Protag group or the antag group. These two are kind of in a different level of the story. First we start off with Lilith, aka Lily. She definitely has some authority in the camp that Caden, Cosmo, Jacob, and Keisha live in. Okay, I can't be mysterious about this forever. You know how I said there was a person in the mountains who could cure the curse? Well, that person is Lily. She has, let's just say, connections to the curse. She has a greater understanding than any other person. Because of this, she convinces people to sign a contract. What does this contract say? Well, that's a great question. None of the other characters know, that's for sure. In fact, Mark is the only person to see the contract, refuse to sign it, and live to tell the tale. But that's a story for another day. Finally, we have Genesis is... He made a deal with because his son, and he was so lonely. A mysterious entity. Everything comes with a price. And that's all we have for today. If there are any characters you want me to dive deeper into, tell me in the comments below. Also, I did say that these assets are for Artfight, so here's my username for that, which will also be in the description. If you attack me first, and let me know in either the comments or the description of attack, I will be sure to film my process and either post it here or on my TikTok, or both if you'd prefer. Who knows, maybe this video inspired you to draw one of my silly little guys. Alrighty, I'll let you go. Thank you for watching this far, and I'll see y'all next time.